Welcome to Generative AI course. So like we discussed about different types of LLM models, and we used various providers. We tried it in our means like Hugging Face. We started testing OpenAI models. We tested Google models, which is Gemini, and even we started using Amazon BedRock based models into our system using LangChains and all that. Now what we can do, we can develop an end-to-end website. Means like, for example, we all know ChatGPT. So we are able to, instead of doing a programming, we are able to automatically log in, and we are able to give a text. It is able to give an answer. Let's try to build this kind of functionality. So using your LangChains, using your Amazon BedRock, and using Streamlit. So now overall there are three elements. So now the very first element is we are trying to use, for example, the first thing is a LangChain. So with a LangChain, we are able to create our LLM models. We are able to use our LLM models. So now in order to have an integration of LangChain, we will be using an LLM. So a LangChain is an interface. So in order to have it, I think you need to have an LLM. So that LLM is, we are trying to get it from BedRock. So we know BedRock, we are able to get it from BedRock. And the third one, so now as I said, we want to create a user. Means like as a user, I'm logging in, I want to get a web app kind of thing where people can interact with it, they can chat with it. So we are calling it as UI, user interface, or we will be developing that user interface using Streamlit. So we will be developing that using Streamlit. So these are the three things we are trying to build. So in order to build these three things, we are using one of the platforms. So it's like a Python, same Python. But instead of going into my Jupyter and I'm building it, I'm using Visual Studio Code. So now why? The only reason we is simple, like we will be having that command prompt within Visual Studio Code. Only for that reason we are trying to go and we are using it. And even if you want, you can do it in Jupyter anyway, and you can still run it in a command prompt. But let's try to see how exactly to build it. We are using LangChains, we are using BedRock, and a new thing is we are building a Streamlit so that users can interact with it. So let's try to build this end-to-end. So in order to build this end-to-end, first I want to go and I want to access a particular folder. So in order to access a folder, I'm just clicking on, I created a folder in my system. If I go to my, I'm going to my system. And here, if I go to course files, and if I go to script files, here I created a folder called as Generative AI Chatbot, but there is no code inside. We want to write a code right now. I'm just connecting my Visual Studio Code with this particular thing, just like to have a folder. So I'm just opening a folder and I'm just going to the D drive and going to course files, and going to script files, Generative AI Chatbot, and I'm selecting that particular folder. Now I'm into this particular folder, but there are no files. So I want to create a file. So I'm just clicking on new file, and I'm calling that file name as maybe like GenAI underscore backend. So I'm calling GenAI.backend, and here you're able to see GenAI.backend, which I created. So now here, this instead of going for this, I just want to this one. So I don't want this particular one. So let me delete it, and let me just say file. I want to create a new text file, and the new text file going to be select a language. I want to select a Python language. So I selected it as a Python language, and I just want to save it. So save as this, I'm calling it as same GenAI underscore backend. So now I got a py file, and in a similar way, I want to create another text file. So which is new text file, and again I'm selecting a language which I'm choosing Python, which is already there in my system, and even I'm saving it. I'm giving a name GenAI underscore. Already we created a backend. Now I'm giving front end. So now the backend is created especially using LangChains and BedRock, and the front end is developed using Streamlit. So now I don't want this. I'm just clearing this stuff. Let us try to build this one. So I want to first build a backend. So in order to build a backend, I'm just using import OS, and from. So we already know this. I'm using from langchain dot llms dot bedrock. So I want to import. So I want to import bedrock, and then from langchain dot memory. So I want to import conversation buffer memory. So I want to import conversation buffer memory, and from langchain dot chains. So I want to import again conversation chain. So which is, you're able to see conversation chain, this function, I want to import it. So these are the important libraries to develop a backend. So now here you need to know one more. Whenever you are trying to create any application, so for example, you are able to see ChatGPT. So this means like whenever you take any web application like ChatGPT, so ChatGPT comprises of a front end, means like users can interact. So we are able to call it as front end, where people go back and interact. So whenever people are interacting, so that people are asking a question, give me what is generative AI. So it need to give an answer. So the front end cannot give an answer. The front end going to send that message to the backend. So inside your backend, you have your langchains or you have your LLMs using Bedrock. So now the information, whatever the question you ask, so what is generative AI? That information is pushed back to your backend. So here inside the backend, we have an LLM, maybe like through Bedrock. It's going to give an answer, and that answer need to be sent back to the front end so the users can see that. And we are building a chatbot. So now that's the reason we are using conversation buffer. Why? So every discussion made need to be recorded, need to be stored. For that reason, you are using conversation buffer memory and conversation chain. If you remember, we done the same thing in our very initial classes on langchains. We done the same thing. So now we have a front end. It is going to the backend. In the backend, we have an LLM. It is trying to process, and it is sending the information to your front end. So that is the pipeline which is going to happen. For that reason, I imported these 3 libraries, and we are developing everything inside a backend. So now we are writing all the code inside backend. Now here, I want to create a function called define. So I can call demo underscore chatbot. And inside this particular chatbot, I want to store, I'm just giving the name demo underscore LM, where I'm using Bedrock. And inside that Bedrock, I just want to use the credentials. So now let me pass the credentials. So between this, let me pass credentials. Credential profile name is equal to default. We already have this. We already created this in our previous Bedrock example. So these names can be anything. You can give your own name. You can customize it. And here I'm giving model underscore ID. So model underscore ID, we know from where we need to pull it. So now in order to get my model ID, I'm going to my Bedrock. So now this is my Bedrock. Here I'm using Llama 2 chart 70B. I'm trying to call this model. So meta Llama 2 chart 70B. And let me go to this. And here I'm placing my model. So which is meta Llama 2 70B chart V1. And here, let me give the parameters which are called as, I want to give model underscore parameters. So I want to give the model parameters. So we already know this model parameters, which are, so temperature. So we discussed it on our previous class. So where we want to give us the temperature, where the temperature, I want to make it 0.4. So it should not use a lot of randomness. So like let it use some randomness, but not a lot of creativity. So I gave temperature is 0.4, and whatever the words it is picking, so it need to pick it. So we are using top underscore p. So this is top underscore p going to be the probability. So even this is also, we learned it. So now we are trying to pick the top words with a probability of 0.4, or we can give 0.5. It's completely up to you. You can customize it. And then again, I'm trying to give top underscore k. So if you want, you can give top underscore k. So top underscore k is the number of words. This is probability. If you want, you can give it or not. So if you want to go for max underscore gen underscore length, what exactly max underscore gen underscore length? The maximum generation length of your tokens. If you are giving it 1000, so you are able to generate a lot. So now you can see the length of the tokens as well. If you scroll to the top, so now you can see here. So where is that? Yeah, here you can see maximum tokens. It is able to generate a length of 4096 tokens it can generate. So now I'm saying, hey, I don't want that big. Why? So as you are increasing the tokens, the costing going to be increased. We are using for testing itself. So you can give the length as max underscore gen underscore length. I'm giving it as something 500 or whatever it is. So 500 would be the overall length. So now I'm trying to, so that's it. I think if you want, you can just close the braces. So like we defined this BedRock, now we defined this demo LLM. So now this is what happening inside demo underscore LLM. Now we need to just return that particular one. So I'm just saying return demo underscore LLM. So now that's it. I think we created the first one, which we created demo chatbot. So now you can change the name or you can keep it the same. So now demo LLM, and you gave it as a BedRock, and you provided the credentials and model fine tuning. So these are model fine tuning parameters you provided. So these are your model fine tuning parameters. I hope once you can have a look. So now these are like I imported OS, I imported LangChain. So I gave my function name, which is demo chatbot, and demo LLM BedRock. So credential profile equal to default, model ID, we pulled it from BedRock. And these are model parameters. The temperature is 0.48, 0.4, and the top P is 0.5. So we know what is top P. We learned it in our previous BedRock classes. And we know about max gen length. So we are using 500 length token. And below this, now this is what the purpose of this demo chatbot is. We are able to go and we can access a BedRock. We can go and access a particular chatbot. We cannot go and play around it. Means like we want a conversational bot. Here we want to use a conversational chain. The goal is not just to give some text prediction, to have a record of that. For that reason, I'm just trying to have a particular memory. So for that reason, I'm just saying define so demo underscore memory, and I'm just trying to go with LLM. We can give LLM underscore something like we can give any name, LLM underscore. So if someone is passing a data, LLM underscore D is equal to demo chatbot. So let me close the braces, and LLM underscore. So conversation is equal to conversation. We want to use a conversation chain, and where LLM so demo chatbot. So now instead of a chain, I think I want to use, so we are building a memory. So demo underscore memory. So we are getting a demo chatbot, and we need to have a memory. We are checking a memory. So I'm just going with memory. This is a variable. So memory is equal to conversation buffer, and where LLM is equal to LLM D, and max underscore token underscore limit is equal to 500, and I'm just saying return memory. So now I'm created another user defined function. So where exactly so like the major is like you defined another user defined function to create a memory, so or to have a memory. So like we are using this chatbot and conversation buffer memory, so LLM.D. So like it is going back to this particular chatbot, and the maximum number of tokens, like we are saying, it is like 500. Now like we got we got your model, or we got our LLM, we got our memory, and now we want to have a chat where exactly we are able to go and perform the operations. So for that reason, I want to define another function. I'm just saying def. So demo underscore conversation. So where I want to give input underscore text and memory. And here LLM underscore chain underscore data is equal to demo chatbot, and the LLM underscore conversation equal to conversation chain, where I want to use LLM, is equal to LLM underscore chain data, and memory equal to memory, and we want a separation verbose equal to true, and we can say chat underscore reply. So LLM underscore conversation dot predict of input is equal to input underscore text variable, and I want to return chat underscore reply. So now it's very simple. So like we are trying to use, so now conversation means like the very simple, instead of directly using conversation chain or conversation buffer. So like if you go back and if you go to this, and we worked on our LangChain. So let me show you introduction to LangChains. This is our introduction to LangChains. So if I scroll down, so yeah, we saw conversation chains. So now here, so inside this conversation chains, so now we haven't used a parameter called memory. We are using memory now. So conversation chain verbose conversation.predict. The same thing I'm writing here. So now conversation chain, I'm passing LLM. So now this LLM chain data, the LLM chain data is demo chatbot. Demo chatbot is this, which is your model. So now whenever we are using if someone is providing an input, so here you are able to see this. If a user is providing an input text data, this input text data, we are trying to grab it and we are passing that into conversation.predict. So what is LLM conversation? So LLM conversation is nothing but our conversation chain. And what is our LLM? LLM is our LLM chain data. So what is LLM chain data? Which is going to be demo chatbot, and demo chatbot going to be this. So now instead of directly calling them model ID and all that, you are just defining a function. So you are calling this function, so automatically it going to trigger this. And again, LLM chain data is your large language model. So if anyone is providing an input, so now it is checking with the memory. So this is our memory. So now the conversation buffer memory is, if this information is already provided, it's going to get that memory, it's going to give the same answer. In case no, it's going to pass this information and we are able to get a reply. So this is what we are trying to create. So this is our simple backend. So we developed our backend. Now what we need to do, we want to create a front end to this particular application. So how we can create a front end to this? Let us try to see. Now, let me go back. Now this is our Gen AI backend. I'm going to my front end and I want to develop a front end to this application. So in order to develop a front end, again, let me go back and let me minimize. So in order to perform front end, I want to use a library. I said Streamlit. So import Streamlit as st. So now even this example, the Streamlit code which I'm doing, it is there inside Amazon BedRock as a template. So the same thing we are using. In case if you want, you can go back and you can test it. You can go to Streamlit and you can customize it. So I'm going to Streamlit as st, and I want to import. So Gen AI, the backend. So the moment I type Gen AI backend, so the folder, the reason why we are created a folder, why we stored the files inside the folder is, Now all your environment, the code you are writing is in that folder. So you are able to go back and you are able to access it easily. Importing would be very easy. In case no, the path, the positions need to match, that would be a difficult game. So now I have created this backend. This backend, I want to import it here. So that's what I'm doing it. So I'm saying GenAI underscore backend. I want to go back and I want to import this. As you can give any name, so you can give it as a name or you can give it as a demo or whatever it is. So I'm just saying it as demo, for example. And here, so I gave this. Now I want to give a title to my application. When someone is opening, there need to be a title. What exactly this application is called. So go to st, which is Streamlit, dot. So now I want to give a title. And the title of the web app going to be maybe like Khan's Generative AI chat bot, for example. So using Llama 2, for example, just I'm giving a name of the title. So I provided a title. Now here I'm writing a condition if memory not in st dot session state st dot session state dot memory is equal to demo dot demo memory. So now here, so what we are doing, the very first command is like I want to check. So if memory not in st.session state, so here inside this memory, whether we are checking whether whatever the code written, is it there inside this memory or not, we are trying to check it. So now this demo underscore memory is a command from your GenAI backend. So here you created demo underscore memory. Here you gave a name, non-demo memory, you gave it as something like GenAI. So automatically that's going to be GenAI memory. We are able to change it. So now here we gave it as a demo memory. And then again, I want to go back to the chat history. So if chat underscore history not in st dot session state and st dot session state dot chat underscore history is equal to empty braces. So like initially, while there may not be any chat history, the reason, so like the moment we opened an app, there is no chat there. So it's like empty. So as you are chatting, even if you go back to Gemini chat history, we created an empty list, means there is nothing there. As you are making a conversation, the chat history going to be created or it going to be stored. That's the reason we provided an empty list. And then we are trying to provide for message in st dot session state dot chat underscore history with st dot chat underscore message of message role st dot markdown message of text. So, and then for example, now let me give the input one, so input box. So now while users are giving an input, so now here you are able to see for message in chat history. So we are checking the role and we are checking the text. So now we know the role. So one role is related to the user who is providing the text. And another one is a model which is trying to respond. So we need to know the role and the message text provided. So that's the kind of loop we have written. We need to check for all the data. And then once it is done, now we are trying to provide our input text. So now input underscore text is equal to st dot chat underscore input So what users need to give? I think here they're going to write it. So if you want, I can give a welcome message. So use this chatbot powered by BedRock and Llama 2. So it is just like users like a particular pop-up message. That's it. So if input text, and here I'm writing with st.chat underscore message user st.markdown input text st.session state dot chat underscore history dot append. I am trying to give role user and the text going to be input text. I hope you are able to get this. And then chat, I want to give a response. Chat underscore response is equal to demo dot. So demo conversation. So demo conversation contain our text data. Sorry, our LLM. So I'm just saying input underscore text is equal to input underscore text, comma, memory is equal to st dot session state dot memory. So, and then, so we are trying to go with a code. So like we got the chat response with st dot chat messages assistant and here let us st dot markdown, so chat underscore response. So we are trying to make it so we know if we are not using a markdown, it's going to be completely uneven, the data or the code going to be uneven. I want to use this markdown so that the code going to be perfect. And here finally st dot session state dot chat underscore history dot append. So I need to append even this. So what I need to append? I need to append role. So is assistant. So now normally in your regular Llama models, we call this as model. So instead of model, I just renamed it to assistant. And the answer provided by my assistant, I want to store it inside chat underscore response. So now see, the code is very straightforward and very simple. So now what exactly we are saying? We are using our, so first we are importing Streamlit. So now let me just go for it. So first we are trying to import our Streamlit. So this is our Streamlit. So by using Streamlit, we are able to create a UI. And we are using the Gen AI backend which we created here inside the Streamlit so that we are able to code our LLM. So this template is something available pretty much with our Amazon BedRock. So now I want to give the title to my application, which is called Khan's Generative AI Chatbot using Llama 2. And here, if memory not in ST session state, so we are checking the memory of your, means like whatever conversation buffer memory. So whatever the chat you made it, is it there inside the memory or not? You are checking it. And then you want to initially, when someone is starting a chat, the entire chat is empty. That's the reason you are saying it's an empty list. So if anyone is creating a chat, the data need to be appended into this particular history. That's what we are doing. Now here for messages in chat history, so you want to just, you are trying to check So between the role and between the text, you have it within your chat history. You are trying to check it. And then if you notice this, yeah, next is your input. So this which is going to be input text. So chat input. So who is giving? So user is giving an input. So now here you can, this going to be just like in message. You can, while you are typing it here, you can type it. Use this chatbot powered by BedRock. You will be seeing, I will be opening it. So you are able to see that message. Just if you start typing, you can type anything. So once you typed it, so now you are trying to say whatever user input is provided, we are trying to mark it down. Means like why we are doing it. So the entire information is made formatted in a better way so that we can see it. And then what we are doing, the information provided by the user, so which is called as go to session state, chat history, append whatever the user provided input. So we are giving that role as a user, means I'm the user, or if you are using it, you are the user. And whatever the information you provided as an input, you are also appending that inside your chat history. And in order to get the result, so the goal of your LLM is what? So now if someone is giving an input to your model, it needs to give an output. So we are getting the input here. So the goal is not just to store it inside a chat history, but to get a response. So how we are able to get a response? So this, we are trying to send it inside your demo conversation. So what is demo conversation? If you are able to go back to your backend, if you are able to see, you have a demo conversation. Inside demo conversation, you got conversation chain. So that text data is fed here. So by feeding here, we are able to get a response. You are able to see you are getting a response. So now that response, again, if you are able to go back to your front end, so this is your front end, you are trying to push it into demo conversation, you are getting the response. Again, that response, what you are doing, you are calling that response as from assistant. And again, you are formatting that response with the markdown. And then you are storing that back to your chat history. So this is the code which is happening here. So this is what you clearly written. Now, once you have done, let us try to check whether it is working or not. So for that, I'm just saving it. Even I'm just trying to save both. And I'm just trying to click on this toggle panel so that you are able to see this. I'm into my course files, script files, generative AI chatbot. So here I want to use a command streamlit run. So I want to run my front end. So genai underscore frontend dot py. So that is a command in order to run. So now you're able to see streamlit run generative AI. So this is the command. So now by using this command, you're able to run your particular model. So we created a front end, we created a backend. This backend is integrated into the front end. Now in order to run an application, you are using streamlit run genai underscore frontend dot py. And let me just say enter. So now once I clicked on enter, you are able to see localhost link and all that. We are able, it is getting opened. And let me just see this. So now you are able to see Khan's generative AI chatbot. So now you are able to see Khan's generative AI chatbot using Llama 2. And here you are able to see use this chatbot powered by BedRock and Llama 2. You are able to see this particular message. Now here my goal is whether I'm getting a response or not. So I want to test it. I'm asking what is generative AI. So like I gave a message. So what is generative AI? So if we are able to go back to the BedRock, if we are able to get an answer, we will be getting the answer here. If there is an error, so we may not get an answer. So like then we need to go back and we need to fix the connection, whatever the connection we created between BedRock and your LangChains and all that, we need to check that. So Streamlit app is running. We are able to open it in our localhost 8501. Let's see if you are able to get the response or not. So we requested for 500 tokens. Let's see whether we are able to get this 500 tokens or not. Yep, you are able to see I got the response. There is no problem with the connection. So generative AI, so this is the user. So like a user gave a question, it provided me with an answer. Generative AI refers to a type of artificial intelligence that can generate new unique data or learn patterns and relationships it provided. Image generation, music generation, text generation, voice generation, drug discovery, robotics. So humans are some challenges of generative AI. What are some challenges? There are several challenges associated with generative AI, including lack of interpretability, and it stopped at point 2. If you notice, it stopped at point 2. Why it is stopped at point 2? You gave only 500 tokens. Now I said, so now can you list me important LLM models in the internet. So list me important LLM models in the internet. As I said, it's a conversational bot, something similar to your ChatGPT. The interface is different. So now let's see whether we are able to get that or not. So it is taking time. What exactly it is doing? So now normally even in the ChatGPT, it takes a time to process and to give an output, right? The same way it is doing, it is going back to the backend, passing to your Llama 2. It is generating the text there and it is giving us the output. So here it generated. So now it said big bird. I don't know. So like a bird, robot, distal bird. So log farmers, long range dependency transformers, Electra, ProfitNet. So big bird, a very language model that is trained on a combination of text and image, Megatron LM. So in this way, it is able to provide us with an answer. And again, if I scroll down, you're able to see the answer here. I'm just asking, generate a Python code for ML classification algorithm using, I already said Python. So let's see whether it is able to generate a Python code or not. Let's also check that. So we are able to use this like our regular, we are able to use it like our regular GPT. So in this way, we can do it. Now, all right, for example, you love this, you added your logo and all that within Streamlit. And then if you want to, means this is only usable in your system. I can access only here. If you are typing this particular link, you cannot obviously open it. The reason, this particular model is running on my laptop. I can call it as an infrastructure, or we can say it's a server. So it is running on my laptop. People cannot open it. So within my internet network or so, people can open it. Now, if someone want to open this using www.122. something, then what to do? We want to deploy this. Here, you are able to see this one, we call it as deploy. So if you are able to deploy, then we can start using. Anyone across the globe can use it. So how you can deploy? You can deploy using Streamlit, or you can deploy using AWS EC2 instance. So you can deploy using Heroku. You can deploy using various platforms. So now deploy, if you deploy it, people can start accessing it across the globe. People can do it. So now in that way, if you want, you can deploy it so everyone can start accessing it. That's a very simple game. You can do it. So now if you want to build anything, so now this is a final product. Here we can see, yes, it has written a ML code as well. So here is an example of Python code for machine learning classification. It is giving us the code. Wonderful. So like in this way, we are able to perform this. This is like end-to-end generative AI one. So we developed a chatbot. So using your Python, using your LangChains, using your BedRock, and using your, your Streamlit, so that we are able to run this entire app. So if you are able to code it step by step, it's a very simple thing. So like we created a chat history, we are verifying the memory, and we are getting the conversations from a conversation chain. That's it. So simple. So like you can start developing this particular generative AI model end to end. If you want, you can test it. So now with the help of LangChains, you can use a prompt template. You can customize the prompt template. You can say how exactly it need to look like. You can customize with a one shot, zero shot, means like a few shot learning technique, so that it going to be work based on your approach. So in this way, you can start using your LangChains, BedRock, and your all this foundational models as an application. And then if everything is done, you can go and you can deploy it. I hope you found this class interesting. And in case if you want to try different things, go back and explore Streamlit. So if you can just search Streamlit, you can just search for Streamlit. This is your Streamlit documentation. So inside documentation, you have API inferences. So here you got write and magic, text element. So what is write and magic? st.write, st.stream. So text elements. So title, this is where we copied the title. So st.title body. So now they provided import Streamlit as st title. This is a title. It's at st.title. It's at this is a title. and then title streamlet is blue, cool, sunglasses. You're able to get this. So in this way, you can refer to the documentation. You can integrate all this functionality if you want, and you can customize your user interface. So whatever the interface we saw here inside this particular front end, so now this is our chatbot. So here you can customize it and you can start using it. So I hope you got it clear, and try to work on it, and see you in our next. Thank you.